Good afternoon to you, good afternoon, and a happy Friday to you. How are you doing? Give me a wave as you are joining. How are you doing? Happy December Friday. Can you believe we're already in December? And greetings from Dubai. You didn't expect me to say that, did you? So last week I was in Sussex and now I am in Dubai. You may have known that my husband and I, we love to go scuba diving, and that is one of the things that we have really missed. So we are here in Dubai and next week we are going diving. So really happy to be speaking to you from here at a little bit of a wonky angle. How are you? Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Give me a thumbs up or give me a wave so that I know that you're there. How are you doing? How has your week been? I hope you've had a really great week. How's your family? How's your business? How's your team? Give me a bit of a wave. A few people joining now. What have you been working on this week? Do tell me. Has it been a good one? It's been a busy week for me, as you can imagine. I'm out in Dubai here for some meetings, and next week we're going diving. And it's something we've really massively missed this year. As I mentioned, I'm really happy to finally be here. It's been quite a challenging couple of weeks on business and personal front. I've started work, I think I shared with you last week, with some new clients that I mentioned last time, and that always fills me with a lot of energy. Plus, there's been lots and lots of interviews for all of you who have applied for Z Ventures. It's going to be really great. We're kicking that off in January. So if you're thinking of starting a business but wondering how to test your idea or validate the market, then do get in touch. If you need to raise some cash but you've got no idea how to go about finding investors, or how to spend the money or afford a team, without being able to cover those market salaries, then do get in touch. Or if you've got a great idea and you've got no trouble getting people on board, but you're struggling with how do you build a product or a prototype or an MVP, how do you do all of that when you're not technical? We're going to be covering all of that. We're here to help, and it's not too late to join the very first cohort. We are going to be kicking off on the 18th of January. Really looking forward to that. So yeah, busy times at this end, and I'm sure for you as well. I know a lot of you are very busy. I've been having lots of calls with you and hearing how you're doing, and lots of people's businesses are really doing well, but very busy, as I mentioned. So hope that you are doing well. And last week we were talking about managing change. Of course, this year has been the year of change, right? All of these words that we use, unprecedented times, and yeah, so much uncertainty and so much change. And so I was sharing my thoughts and suggestions with you last week. I've had a big dose of change, moving home and countries, and I was sharing my thoughts and suggestions with you. And I also shared some questions to ask yourself as the year draws to a close. How are you feeling about change? What is your attitude towards that? As I say, we've had quite a lot in terms of my business and my life. Going to be splitting our time now between London and Dubai for a little while. So let's see how that goes. Really excited about Z Ventures. We've got lots of investors out here and people that are going to join the cohort as well. So yeah, it's exciting times. You can find a recording of last week's live in the group units. So that one on managing change, if you haven't had a chance to watch it, then do give it a watch. So it's in the group units along with all of the other lives that I do every week. And as you know, I like to take my cues from you in terms of what you will find useful and valuable, in terms of what it would be helpful for me to cover during these lives. Sometimes I kind of read something, or I'll reflect on something that's happened to me and share with you my learnings. And sometimes I'll share things from my book or from the work that I'm doing with my clients. But most often these lives come from conversations, questions and requests that I get from all of you in this wonderful community. So do tell me, where are you stuck? What questions do you have? What challenges are you facing? Do let me know, and I'll include some thoughts in future lives to help you on your way. So today we are talking about a really important subject, and that is confidence. And that is something, as you might imagine, that comes up an awful lot in the work that I do. And I know it's something that is really, really important to many of you watching. And so I hope that you will enjoy these thoughts that I want to share with you today, but also do let me know what your thoughts are about confidence and what your relationship is with confidence. So where does your confidence come from? Where does your confidence to start a business, to run a business, take those risks, ask for money, spend money, hire people, manage people? Where do we get that confidence to do that as entrepreneurs, as business owners? Where do you get that from? Let's start with what then. So what do we mean when we talk about confidence? So confidence is really an attitude, your own attitude about your skills and your ability. It means that you, when you have confidence, it means that you accept and you trust yourself and you have a sense of control in your life. So control is very closely linked through with confidence. It's also linked with self-awareness, so you know your strengths and weaknesses well, and you generally have a positive view of yourself. Positivity and confidence also very closely linked. And your level of confidence might actually depend on the situations that you find yourself in. So confidence is not a sort of an absolute thing, it definitely ebbs and flows. So why is confidence so important? When we have greater self-confidence, it allows us to experience freedom, and by that I mean freedom from self-doubt, freedom from negative thoughts, and the ability to experience fearlessness and get away from anxiety. And so confidence, self-confidence is really, really important in terms of how we feel about ourselves and about the world that we live in. Greater confidence makes you more willing to take smart risks and more able to kind of move outside your comfort zone, which is so important as entrepreneurs because we're learning all the time. And so we need to have that confidence to step outside of our comfort zone, which is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. Confidence means that you can perform better under stress, which is also super important. When we're confident, we perform up to our potential rather than sort of crumbling under that stress. It also impacts our ability to influence other people. And so that is very important, of course, when we're selling or when we're negotiating. It's important to have confidence so that we can influence in a positive way. We can influence other people. Having confidence also impacts our presence, how we behave, how we carry ourselves, how we use our voice, how we use our body, how we move. And when we feel confident, people around us also feel it and pick up on that. And we're actually perceived then as more positive. And as I mentioned, there's this really clear link between confidence and positivity. When you feel confident, you believe that you have an important and meaningful place in the world, and that in turn makes you feel more confident. And when we feel confident, we know what we're good at, and we know that we have value, which is really key to being a successful entrepreneur. When we feel confident, we actually can get liberated from what other people think about us, and that gives us energy and that gives us motivation. And that, the more motivated and energized we feel, the more likely we are to take action. And that is what gives you that all of that comes from confidence. So your motivation and your energy enables you to take action towards achieving what it is that you want. And all of that is a bit of a cycle that gives you confidence. It comes from confidence, but it also gives you confidence. The bottom line is that confident people are generally more successful. And so it's no surprise that the vast majority of people would like to be more confident, even those people that are very confident would like to be more confident. So most people that I speak to would like to be more confident. Most people I know would like to be more confident. It's something that all of us would like to know how to increase our confidence. Okay, so how do we do that? You know, I'm all about the how, and I do like to keep things nice and simple. So let's go through some simple steps. And when I say simple, I don't necessarily mean easy. I mean simple for me to explain, but this does take work. Like most things, right? We need to work at them. So the interesting thing about confidence is that a lot of people think that it is inbuilt. A lot of people think that it is something that we either have or we don't have. But the truth is that confidence is actually gained through experience. And so we take risks actually in order to build confidence rather than the other way round. And so when we tell ourselves, I'll do that when, actually we will get the confidence to do it by doing it, if that makes sense. It is very, very cyclical. So we actually gain that confidence through the experience, through taking risks, not the other way around. And so there are three main ways to build your confidence. We're talking about mind, we're talking about body, and we're also talking about minimizing sabotage. So let's start with mind. So what we need to do is control that self-talk, you know, that voice in your head that I've spoken about before. I know that's easy for me to say, and it is very hard to do. But do you know what? Our brains are like a computer. They're constantly programming and reprogramming and rewiring. It's like a constant development program, if you like, running. And one of the really interesting things about our brains is actually we can only manage, for all of our amazing brain power that all of us have, we can actually only hold one thought at any one time. And you know what? You control what that one thought is in your head. Something might come into your head, but it's up to you then whether you choose to focus on that or whether you choose to think about something else. So controlling that self-talk is very, very important. And I'll come on to a little bit more about that in a second, but definitely controlling self-talk is one of the most important things when it comes to building our confidence. Now, a little trick or a little technique, if you like, to do that is just to change one word. Let me explain what I mean by that. When we're panicking or we're under stress, our self-talk increases and we use I a lot. I can't do this, yeah? So when you're panicking, it's that kind of edge of a cliff feeling like I'm going to be sick. There's a lot of I. And we're in kind of panic mode. There's a lot of emotion and our body is responding because we're coming from that part of our brain that governs emotion. And if we change just one word, if we change the I to you, as in you've got this, it changes the part of the brain that we use to verbalize, even in our head, that thought, to articulate that thought. When we use you, it's an objective rather than a subjective. Yeah? So rather than going I, which is obviously very subjective, you go you, and your brain will move into that more objective place. And so now we're coming from a place of logic rather than emotion. And we know this works because we see athletes and performers psyching themselves up beforehand. You've got this, rah, rah, rah. And it really does work. You don't have to do the rah, rah, rah if that's not your cup of tea. But just changing your language from, oh, I can't do this, to you've got this. It's an objective, logical articulation, and that will increase your confidence. Visualizations are magic, and the reason that they're magic is that confidence is actually like a muscle that can be worked. As I say, it's not something that we either have or that we don't have. It is something that we work with and we can develop. So if you think of a time when you were confident, maybe as a child or as a teenager or earlier on in your adult life, you reinforce the pathways in your brain back to that memory. The more that you think about it and the more that you visualize that and the more you kind of remember it. How did I feel? What did I say? What did it feel like in my body? Yeah, like the more we can bring that into our conscious mind, the more we are then reinforcing those pathways back to that memory. And then visualizing ourselves in the future then connects that future place back to that memory, and then the confidence is effectively flowing between the two, and each new experience of confidence can then be recorded and stored in your brain and used to help your future self feel more confident. So it is like building blocks, if you think about it that way, and also you're trying to train your brain to get back in touch with those confident moments, and that then helps you project that confidence forward. So routines, I know that I speak a lot about routines, and they are so very important. They make us feel organised, they make us feel in control, they mean that we know what to expect. Yeah, when we have a routine, we know what to expect, and so we feel comfortable, we feel secure, and they also reduce the cognitive load, that exhausting too many decisions that so many entrepreneurs and business owners struggle with, because there are just so many decisions to make. So having routines makes us feel in control, makes us feel organised, and reduces that decision fatigue, that cognitive load. But all of those things actually increase our confidence, and that is why you see athletes using routines to enhance their confidence and ultimately their performance. And that's why you see those little things that we go through, those little routines that make us feel comfortable. They're familiar, and our brain relaxes, and we're able to be stronger and more confident. So routines are super important to increasing confidence. Now, my next point is quite an interesting one, and it's quite a difficult one. Most of us are not very good at this one. We learn at a very young age to protect ourselves from disappointment and failure. And so what I'm talking about is learning how to accept compliments. We have to learn to open ourselves up and really accept and take in the compliments that we receive, rather than deflecting, which is what most of us do when we receive a compliment. And so it doesn't really go in. You have to kind of open yourself up to receive that compliment and really understand it and accept it, so that it can help you build your confidence. And what most of us do is deflect, and that actually drains our confidence when we do that. Now, this next one, I need to confess to you that I am not great at, and what I am talking about is preparation. I quite like winging things. I quite like that adrenaline, that fly by the seat of my pants feeling. I always have done. And I have had to really educate myself, teach myself, if you like, how to prepare, because it's not my natural tendency. Actually, I feel nervous when I prepare too much, which is quite interesting. And when I was getting ready for my TEDx talk almost a year ago, I think it's going to be a year ago on Sunday, so almost 1 year ago, I was running through my ideas, and I had them written up on the wall, and I sort of had brief notes, but I was really resisting practicing. And that's because, as I say, it makes me feel nervous, and because I've got a lot of experience of talking off the cuff, talking with loose notes, and I'm quite comfortable, I'm quite confident. I'm happy speaking to you here. I do have some notes to remind me of the flow, but I'm quite happy talking to you, and so I think I'd convinced myself that was going to be okay for my TEDx talk. And luckily, about a week before my TEDx talk last year, my husband asked me if I would do the talk for him, because he was unable to attend because he was out in Poland with his development team at that time. And so I said, okay, I'll do that for you. And I stood in our living room, and I felt nervous. I mean, I could feel the adrenaline running through my body. I had a physical reaction. I was like, what is going on? This is my husband, this is my living room, this is something that I know what I'm talking about. It was a real wake-up call for me, because I was quite honestly completely rubbish. And that was not okay with me. And so you can be sure that in that last week, I practiced. I did Zoom calls with people who I'd asked if they would listen to my TEDx talk. I went round to people's houses and sat them on their sofa and asked them to listen to my TEDx talk. I practiced a lot that week, and thank goodness I did, because do you know what? By the time I got there, and it was hugely nerve-wracking, I had the confidence that I wasn't just going to freeze, that I wasn't just going to forget all of my words because I had practiced. So it's taken me a long time to really convince myself that practice is really important. And I know that it is, and there are some things that I will practice for, but now I do practice for more things than I probably would have done before. So practice. It really, really does increase your confidence. Even when you find yourself in terrifying situations, it's if you've practiced, it's sort of, people talk about muscle memory, don't they? It's just something that your body and your mind and your brain is familiar with, and then you can deal with the emotions because the rest of you knows what it's doing. Okay, so that's how we build. There's some thoughts about how you build confidence with your mind. And now if we talk about our body, I talk a lot about fitness. You know that it's very important to me, and I know that it's very important to many of you. Moving your body, getting outside, changing our environment, getting the blood pumping, changing the physiology, so important. And a lot of research shows that it actually, again, increases our confidence. If we feel good, if we feel energized, then we feel more confident. The other thing is around positions, so sort of power stances. So you notice I'm standing here. You can't see my feet, but they are pointed straight forward. This is a sort of a speaker pose, shoulders back. Our physiology is really, really important. This makes me feel like my feet are on the floor, I'm grounded, I'm not kind of swaying from left to right, I'm here, I'm speaking to you, my shoulders are back, my head is up. So your physiology is very important in terms of your confidence and how you feel. And you might see people before they go on stage, people have got little routines again, but a lot of those routines are physical. They might be jumping up and down or doing some kind of yes or power things, whatever works for you. But physiology, my point is physiology is very, very important in terms of increasing our confidence. The other thing to think about is dancing and music and things that make us feel good. I mentioned the link between positivity and confidence. If you can make yourself feel happy, more positive, that in turn will link through to your confidence. So your favourite piece of music, something silly that you can dance to, or something that will make you laugh or happy, again, that all flows through to your confidence. So if you want to increase your confidence before an important call or an important meeting or an important conversation, just great to think about what you can do to make yourself feel good. So feeling positive, very much linked then through with our confidence. So mind and body, and then I mentioned minimizing sabotage. So what do I mean by this? So I talked earlier on about that self-talk, and what we're really talking about is those negative thoughts, that voice inside your head that tells you unhelpful things at unhelpful moments. And so it's really important that we stop those negative thoughts, because they really do. Our brain is very black and white. It believes our words. It's very sort of literal, if you like, in that sense. And so those negative thoughts, it's really important that we get rid of them. I'll give you an example. For example, if you're trying to stop smoking, if you fixate on stopping smoking, your brain will hear that word smoking and you'll obsess about cigarettes. So much better to think about, focus on what you want, a healthy lifestyle, or to feel healthier, etc., rather than on what you don't want, because the brain doesn't really understand that stop or that not. It just hears the word smoking. And so these negative thoughts that we tell ourselves, I can't do this, what I spoke about earlier. So really important, the first step to overcoming, if you like, those negative thoughts or changing those thought patterns is definitely to recognize. So hear the thought in your head, and feel the emotion. As I say, the mind and the body so closely linked. Really important to feel what is the impact of that negative thought on your body. How does it feel? How do those emotions feel in your body? And then see yourself act, or more likely not act. So procrastinate. So hear the thought, feel the sensation, the emotion, the physicality of it, and then observe the action or the lack of action, and make that connection, connect those dots in your brain. Next, so we've recognized, now we need to stop, and we need to reset, and we need to replace with a positive thought. Yeah? So instead of, oh, I can't do this is going to be terrible, this is going to be terrible, you can do this, you've got this. Yeah? Positive thought we're replacing with a positive thought. Instead of catastrophizing, we're taking back control with positivity. And then, very important, reward. So reward ourselves for having gone round that little loop. Yeah, it might just be an acknowledgement, it might be something else. Let's think about healthy options here, but reward yourself, acknowledge the fact that you have stopped that negative thought and replaced it with a positive thought. Your brain likes that feeling of reward, it likes that well done, and so it's more likely to do that replacement without you having to so consciously do it once you train your brain to do it. So that is the way that we stop negative thoughts. Now I want to talk a little bit about perfectionism. So, do high performers have high standards? Of course they do. But, and it is a big but, perfection is unattainable. It doesn't exist. It's impossible to achieve. And so the important thing about perfectionism is that it actually drains your confidence. So yes to high standards, but no to perfectionism. There is a real link, again, between perfectionism and confidence. And those of us, and I definitely include myself in that do tend towards perfectionism, we need to watch that because it can drain our confidence. Having high standards is brilliant. We want to be achievers, we want to be moving forward, we want to be progressing. But perfection is unattainable, it is impossible. And so setting ourselves that bar, we can only ever fail, and failure will lead you to lack confidence. Choose your tribe carefully. Choose those people who you choose to hang out with. Think about who you're hanging out with, because negativity and positivity are both contagious. And so you need to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, who make you feel great, who give you those compliments that you are learning to accept and open yourself up to. So choose your tribe carefully. It's very important to surround yourself with positive people. One of the reasons why I show up here every Friday is to give you your weekly dose of positivity. I want to say to you, you've got this. You can build a business that works for you. You can make it work. Let me help you make it work. And it's important that you surround yourself with lots of lovely, positive people. If you like lots of people, or if you prefer fewer people, with a few positive people. Be careful who you surround yourself with. Negative people will drain your energy and will drain your confidence. A couple of thoughts on fear. Most of us have fears of some sort or other, some irrational, some more rational, you could say. And it's important to be clear what your particular fears are. Are you afraid of selling? Are you afraid of rejection? Are you afraid of failure? Are you afraid of success? Are you afraid of money? Are you afraid of commitment? These things are all common, but they are difficult to overcome. And the first step to overcoming your fears is, of course, facing them. So it is in order to increase your confidence, it is really important that you acknowledge your fears and that you face your fears, and that you work through them either by yourself or with the help of a professional like a coach. So they are my thoughts on confidence, what it is, why it's important, and how we can increase it using our mind, our body, and by minimizing those things that sabotage and drain our confidence. So what are your thoughts on this? Where do you get your confidence from, and what's your relationship with confidence? Let me know your questions, your comments. How can I help you build your business more successfully? What do you need to make you feel more confident? I'm going to close today's live with 2 quotes about confidence. So the first one is from the American author Mark Twain. And he said, a man, or I guess he might mean a woman as well, a man cannot be comfortable without his own approval. With so many things, it all starts with us. The first sale you make is to yourself. And confidence has to start with you. And my second quote is from another American author, Jack Canfield, and this is one of my favourites. Everything you want, absolutely everything you want, is on the other side of fear. And now it's over to you. What would you be focusing on? What would you be achieving if you felt more confident? What have you done this year, this week, this month to increase your confidence? And what will you do moving forward to build on that confidence? As with everything we do, confidence links really closely with flow. What puts you in your flow, in your zone? How can you spend even more of your time doing those things that come from your natural energy? And as this year draws to its close, we're all laying the groundwork for the new possibilities that are ahead. So focus on listening to yourself and ask yourself, what do you need so that you can spend more time in your flow? Don't forget that the opposite of flow is friction. So if things aren't really working out, try and take a step back. Try and look at things a bit more objectively. Get some input from somebody else. Hire the services of a business coach. Take some time to look at what you're doing and where an easier path would start from or lead to. Ask yourself, what would a business that really works for me look like? What would that look like? So do let me know your thoughts and questions on this or any other topic relating to how to simplify, grow and enjoy your business. What area of business would you like me to speak about next? Do let me know. If you haven't already claimed your free copy of my book, The Real Entrepreneur, you can check out therealentrepreneurbook.com. If you prefer an Audible or a Kindle version, they're also available on Amazon. I really hope that you have a lovely weekend, whatever you're doing and whoever you're doing it with. I do wish you a very happy and peaceful time. And as always, if you want to talk, then you know where I am. Please remember to be where you are in the journey. You don't need to know it all, and you definitely don't have to do it all. Take care, stay safe, and do keep in touch. Bye for now.